I want to speak of a man by the name Apollos. We read about him from the book of Acts, chapter 18 and verse 24. It says here in the King James Bible, "And a certain Jew named Apollos, born at Alexandria, an eloquent man and a mighty in scriptures, came to Ephesus. This man was instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent in the Spirit, he spake and taught diligently the things of the Lord, knowing only the baptism of John. And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom the Aquila and Priscilla had heard. They took him unto them and expounded unto him the way of God more perfectly. And when he was disposed to pass into Achaia, the brethren wrote exhorting the disciples to receive him, who, when he was come, helped them much which had believed through grace, for he mightily convinced the Jews, and that publicly showing by the scriptures that Jesus was Christ." Now we read about the man who was eloquent, talented man, obviously a charismatic preacher, teacher, charismatic person, just a great personality. I imagine Apollos being a man who stood up on the stage and shined and just had this glow on him, charisma from the Lord. Now he came from Alexandria, which was known by great schools, so he must have been taught well and had gone through some major schools. He was taught in the scriptures. His name Apollos, which is somewhat unusual for a Jew. Apollos obviously was a name of one of the Greek gods, and Apollos would perhaps mean given by Apollo. So, but what we see about him is, though he is such an eloquent speaker, obviously well liked, well sought after speaker, admired by people. And, he's speaking to crowds. They just adore him and love him. When Aquila and Priscilla hear him speak, they take him aside and more profoundly, or they expand the way of God for him. So we see Apollos being such a great speaker and a charismatic person was still very teachable man, which means that he must have been a humble man. It's not often that you find talented people who are humble at the same time. Very often our talents tend to carry us to the height where our character, including humility, cannot sustain us. But Apollos was a different breed, different kind. He was teachable. So he was taken aside, and though he already spoke so well, he let himself to be corrected. And we need to be correctable. We need to submit to correction. The only reason an airplane flies straight in the skies is because it is constantly corrected. All kinds of forces influence the airplane up there in the air. All kinds of winds, moisture, gravity, friction, you name it. It's all there. So the airplane would not be able to just fly straight, having all its, wings and all the manipulators or all that airplane has. in the same direction. Like, you just said it, all right, now we're going to fly 10 hours, we'll end up over there. No. Constantly everything has to be corrected. Little manipulations to take it back to the horizontal level, to keep it back to the vertical level or direction. So our lives the same way go straight only because of constant correction. We hopefully correct ourselves most of the time, but sometimes we need correction outside, and Apollos was a man who was able to receive it. So that's a rare kind. And we see that he considered those people as an authority in his life. Now, Aquila and Priscilla had been with Paul, and Paul obviously was one of the strongest leaders at the time as a missionary voice, and God gave him a very clear picture what the gospel was all about, and how it related to the understanding what Jews had about law and all these regulations and special festivities they had. So he, Apollos, considered these people authority enough to let them speak into his life. We need people like that, and we can never grow to a place where we need not to be corrected from an outside source. There are blind spots in our lives. This is not a new idea, but we sometimes discover it anew. And we don't see everything in our lives. We don't notice everything. We need feedback. And Apollos was a man who let that happen to him. So instead of just cutting himself off of these people, saying, listen, I've got this ministry going. I've got people following me. I've got, like we say today, I've got 25,000 followers on Instagram. So what do you think is my problem? I'm doing good. These people are admiring me. They're following me. Some are supporting me. And you come to tell me, that I'm not doing a good job teaching on it. He was not that kind of a man. He said, well, I keep the fellowship. I submit to this group, and I let them speak into my life. So he didn't begin to do his own thing. A lot of people do nowadays. Pastor corrected me, my spiritual covering, didn't approve what I wanted to do. Well, I'm going to go to another church and still do my own thing, And, well, that's one of the privileges nowadays. Back then, it was just one church. It was the original early church. And nowadays we have all kinds of different churches in one city, and you don't like one, you go to a different one and continue on doing what you want to do. But that's not the way it happened back then. And so instead he decided to submit to that authority. And because of that, he was given more authority. And when he went to another city, then these people wrote letter of recommendation, what we call endorsement, to these people and saying, hey, listen, this guy is coming. He's correctable. He's a great speaker. He's under our authority. You be bold enough to receive him, let him minister. And of course, Apollos went on to become a great speaker. We hear different places in the New Testament, Paul mentioning him, and that he really brought a lot of good to the body of Christ. So he wasn't just talented. He wasn't just a sparkling personality. He wasn't just an anointed man of God. He didn't just hear the voice of God. He was also a church man, connected. He was planted into the house of the Lord. He was correctable. He had people speaking into his life. He was under authority. He wasn't just having an authority. And he was a balanced man who really went into history as a great oracle of God. I think it's a great example of humility and a man who was corrected. So let's just, take this example home with us and apply it down in our lives and see what God does with us.